G'day guys, Ron here from Osborne Digital Marketing. Today I have the pleasure of chatting with Julian Goldie. He's an absolute legend and he's been going very, very aggressive with AI. So today we're going to discuss what got him into SEO, how he's actually utilizing AI to help grow all of these websites that he's just putting out on his YouTube channel, and then finally how he ties AI in with backlinking and what he thinks the predictions of using AI will be for SEO in the future. Julian, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, bro. You're doing some interesting things. So it's you're definitely a very hot topic right now, man. Very hot topic.
Thank you.
Awesome, bro. So I guess we'll kick it off, man, by starting. Can you tell the audience what got you into SEO? How did you actually get into this wonderful game?
Yeah, sure. So I used to be a sales copywriter and I had a website to show off my portfolio of writing and how good it was, etc., on my website. And so I would write all day trying to fill out the content on this site, but it wasn't getting any traffic. So I wasn't getting any love from Google, spent months creating the content on there, never ranked. And I was like, why is this not ranking? Like, I'm creating good content here, but no one's seeing it. It's never seen the light of day. So then my friend, I was living in Chiang Mai, Thailand at the minute at that time. And two of my best friends were doing link building. And they came along and were like, listen, you're never going to rank, especially in the niche you're in, if you don't build backlinks to your site. And I was like, okay, first of all, what are backlinks? And then how do I build them? And then I just went off on a crazy journey where I was doing outreach all day, every day, you know, testing different link building techniques. I tried all sorts of crazy stuff. They were literally sat in the coffee shop with me, so I could ask them any questions, kind of had like a mentor. And within about, I would say 60 or 90 days, I could build hundreds of backlinks at scale from outreach, learn the skyscraper technique, just implement it on that all day, every day. And then eventually started getting backlinks, started getting traffic. And I was like, oh, if this works for my site, if I'm actually ranking now with link building, maybe I can sell this as a service to clients. And that's where I took off and got my first client from Mongolia.
Damn, that's dude. What, Mongolia? What?
Totally random, right? Yeah. He messaged me through Upwork. I think I applied to his proposal and spoke to someone whose country I'd never been. Obviously, I've heard of Genghis Khan, but I've never been there. Maybe one day we'll go.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Genghis Khan SEO, bro. Wouldn't that be wouldn't that be something, dude? Jeez, man. That's very, very interesting. Are you living in Chiang Mai now, or are you back in the UK?
So I'm living in Bangkok now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It?
oh, I love it. Yeah. I mean, obviously I come from the UK.
Yep.
I used to live in Manchester, and basically all of this started, like the whole working online thing started because a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago now, I was fired from my first 3 jobs, one of them being a cleaner. And so I started looking for new opportunities, and me and my mates, we went on a lad's holiday out to Thailand. And I had an amazing time, a couple of 2 weeks in Bangkok and all over Thailand. It was amazing. But when we got back to England, we had the holiday blues big time. Like, combination of UK food was bad, UK weather even worse. Fish and chips, our national dish, gets boring pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, well, we could live out in Thailand, or we could eat fish and chips in England. And it was a hard choice. We weighed it up for about 2 seconds and we're like, we can get fish and chips in Thailand anyway. So then within a year, we were setting up our own business online with the freedom to live anywhere in the world. And all 3 of us made it out back to Thailand. So it was amazing, really.
Dude, that's sick. Are they all business partners with you in the SEO game then, or do they do their own things?
They do their own things. So we all started off doing really random things. Like, I was selling blogs on Fiverr.com for $5. Not very
Rich
fun.
man. So that's how you got your Rolex?
Well, that's it. Yeah. $2 an hour paid for this. And then my other friend, he was selling spells on Fiverr.com.
Right.
So magic spells on Fiverr.com. Whether they worked or not, I'll let you decide. And then I had another mate I think he was doing match betting, of all things. So totally random, different niches. And then me and another mate, we set up an audiobooks business together that still runs in the background. So we sold about 35,000 audiobooks on audible.com.
Damn, bro.
but SEO is my main business. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Dude, that's awesome to have all those different lads around you. You'll get so much different feedback from them. That's what I love about the SEO game. You always find people in different weird and wonderful things. But I'll tell you what, man, how hard must it be for your mate to try and pick up chicks? Yeah, what do you do for a living? I sell spells. That's good. Well, if he makes a lot, it'll be all right. Like, he won't have any dramas then. Damn, man. Well, I guess, like, bring it back to SEO, bro. Like, where was your first successes then with SEO? Like, from the sounds of it, it was more so going along the backlink building path. Is that where you started finding your success? And then on the inverse, what was your biggest failure in SEO?
Yeah, good question. So I would say with the link building, yeah, as soon as we started building links to my sites, they actually started ranking and getting traffic. So that was when we started taking off and getting more traffic, making more money from SEO. And it all becomes a lot easier. And it's kind of like a cheat code, right? Because if you can build links, you know that 90% of your competitors can't. And therefore you've cracked the code on something that's a bit of a competitive advantage. Biggest failure. Honestly, I mean, one of my biggest failures this year was probably one of our AI case studies. It got hit by the helpful content update. And I know tons of AI sites, I know tons of human sites that also got hit by AI, but I think I probably pushed it a bit too far without doing the fundamentals on that case study. That was chipperbirds.com. And so the traffic got hit by half. But I think that's a sign of a good test as well, because I always said from day one, this is an experiment. Definitely wouldn't recommend that to everyone. It's just for fun. Don't take it too seriously. And so if it gets hit, it gets hit. But the other thing I would say is with that case study, which has probably been hit about 50%, so it's lost 50% of its traffic since the helpful content update, it's still 3 or 4 times higher than it was with human written content. Mm-hmm. So it's quite interesting to see that as well. But yeah, that was the biggest failure this year. But if you're not failing, you're not learning. So
yeah, exactly. And you still got a Rolex out of it. And so, you know, next time you won't be able to buy a second Rolex, but you can buy a new band or get this one repaired, bro. So, you know, it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. If I manage to buy a Patek one day, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, there you go, bro.
From Chipper Bird's money.
Yeah. Dude, that's really insightful. When it comes to the process that you're using to build out, like you've obviously got a big agency now. So how are you structured? Do you have a team around you in Thailand? Do you have a team in Bangkok? Or are you someone that operates with a ton of people overseas? What's your business structure look like, and how's it being operated?
Yeah, good question. So company is set up in Singapore. Most of the back end, so the non-client facing team, is in the Philippines. And then the client facing team, they're all European. So they're all over the world, really. I would say for me, honestly, I don't work that much. I don't really work on the agency because it's like a machine that runs in the background, right? I have like 50 people in the company. They all run it from overseas. I don't run it from here. And the only thing that I do is just record YouTube videos or do marketing, which I wouldn't really consider working on the agency. I would say that's just kind of building my brand and creating content along the way.
What challenges do you find with that, man? So obviously, a big thing for myself, I hear very often. So just quick note, like I made all my money in telecom. Then I came across, like I made millions in telecom before I made any money in SEO. Nice. And when it comes to that space, I hear a lot of people online saying, you know, you've got to work on the business, not in the business. Now that's fantastic advice, but you can't say that to someone that, you know, is doing maybe 3 to 5 grand a month. Like it's not possible advice. So how did you go from, you know, like you were saying before, man, that those $5 an hour blogs to then being able to recruit the team? What was the process that you put in place to help you actually get to 50 employees where you're at now?
Yeah, I guess, so there was never like a direct plan. So when I was, you know, writing Fiverr blogs for $5 a pop, making about $2 an hour, all I cared about was the freedom to be able to quit my 9-to-5 job. That's all I cared about. That was like my number one value. Never really wanted to make a lot of money. And then I just kept putting one step in front of the other, really. And I had such a good network of people, particularly in Chiang Mai, like it's just an amazing community of SEOs and a good group of friends out there. And So my methodology was just hire when it hurts, right? So for example, when I started selling link building, I was doing everything myself. But as soon as we got about 10 or 20 clients, I was prospecting all day, every day. In fact, I worked so much. I remember I was in an office and I didn't have a proper chair, and I was lifting a lot of weights at the time. So I worked so hard and so much that I actually trapped a nerve in my back. I couldn't feel these two fingers, couldn't feel my toes for about 3 months. And at that point, I was like, okay, literally it hurts.
Yeah.
I'm not just hiring when it hurts mentally, this physically hurts as well. So at that point, I was like, right, let's get a virtual assistant. We'll train him up. And this was a guy called Philip, who doesn't work for me anymore, but we basically hired him. We hired his two brothers, and they took on like the 80-20 of what I was doing at that time, which was mainly link building, prospecting, messing around on spreadsheets all day, setting up link building campaigns for all the clients, and just gradually scaled from there. The thing I would say is, you'll know this by a long way, is like when you start managing people and you build up a team, it's a totally different dynamic, because it's no longer about you working hard. It's about you building the right systems and being a good leader. And it makes you a totally different person, because you're managing people and you have to become more empathetic. You have to become more patient. You have to become way better at organizing people. And your understanding of human psychology totally changes, because you realize you don't just give people work and pay them. Like there's so much more that comes to it to motivate people and making sure they actually do what they need to.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that, because to be honest, I would say business made me more ruthless. So, dude, I was a soldier. You know, you get shot at for a living, man. And I'm telling you right now, it's harder running a business than it is getting paid to get shot at. Like I've had more sleepless nights. There's nothing better than laying down in a trench, punching a dart. You know, you got nothing to worry about there. The enemy is over there, so to speak. Like that's the structure of the military. It's like, it's in front of you, so to speak. With business, you get hit left, right. All of a sudden something goes wrong. Like you said, that gentleman, Philip, that you used to have working for you, probably surprised him maybe one day, unless you let him go. He's like, send you that email. Hey, mate, I want to call it quits. You're like, bro, everything's been built around how you operate. So yeah, businessman, she's very challenging, dude. A big question too, man, is when you were training up your team, how did you approach it? What was something that you like to do with your team? Because in your videos now, specifically the ones that I've been watching, you really go down the path of SOPs. Is that the structure that you had from the start, or were you kind of a guy that likes to have someone try and sit in the room with you, so to speak, and you just look over their shoulder? How did you go about it?
I think I've always been very systems minded in terms of the way that I create anything. So even when I was in a full-time job, without even realizing it, I would set up shortcuts and spreadsheets and all these different systems. I had no awareness of what I was doing, but actually these are the traits that you need if you're going to be hiring and giving processes to teams, right? And outsourcing. So for me, when I started getting VAs on board in the link building agency, I would actually have a long document with step-by-step bullet points on exactly how to do everything. So for example, how to get prospects from Ahrefs, and then break down which prospects to reach out to and which ones are pretty spammy, and how to get their email addresses from Hunter, etc. Everything was step by step, and then I would record the videos as well on exactly how to do it. And I think that came quite naturally to me previously. And even it's the same in every part of my life. I've actually systemized it, literally to the point where, like, when I go to the gym, I have a spreadsheet for tracking the weights and how much I lift versus the week before, etc. I have certain tasks, like even ordering water each week.
Jesus, bro.
It's a recurring Trello card.
Yeah.
So and then it has a shortcut to exactly how to order it straight into my cart in the shortest possible way. And like, I don't think this is very normal for most people. I don't think
it's
but for me, it's
odd.
normal. Yeah. And my mate was trying to convince me this year that I'm autistic. And I was like, it's never really occurred to me, but maybe I am on the spectrum a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're definitely on the radar. You're a little blip on the top right-hand corner of the radar, brother. Like, oh man, that's good though, bro. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, Who cares? You've achieved the version of success that you wanted to achieve. You wanted the freedom, obviously the most important thing to you over the dollars, which is very, very cool, bro. Like, it's very cool you've been able to achieve, at the end of the day, let's be honest, capital secures freedom. It's that simple. Yeah, like it is that simple. A lot of people don't actually understand that, but it's awesome to see that you pursued your dreams. You took that risk, very much like Cole and a lot of the other lads, guys and girls overseas that have been aggressive with it, and now they're living a good, comfortable life instead of being trapped under the awesome pressures of the Western world right now, man. So very cool, bro.
Thanks,
I guess
man.
so the backlinking agency, that's still going strong, man. Like, you're still constantly selling backlinks. You're getting out there, you're building backlinks for clients, still all over that.
Yeah, that's scaling bigger than ever, better than ever. I think you learn so much along the journey and have some good people to help me. But yeah, I love building out the agency. I love building those systems, and we're just trying to get as many clients as we can, really, and keep them happy.
With the backlink agency, man, like, you don't offer content as an example. Do you offer content? Are you building content for clients, or just backlinks more so?
So we offer content on the back end. So once the clients sign up, a lot of them come to us and they're like, can you create a blog for us? Or we don't want to create the content ourselves. We don't want to hire and manage a team of writers. And at that point, we're like, yep, we've got a team of writers ready to go, trained on all the checklists I use personally for all my other sites. And therefore, we can create content pretty quickly for them. The one thing I would say is that even though we go really hard on AI content on the YouTube channel, because these are crazy case studies that attract a lot of attention, we actually only sell human written content to our clients because we don't want to risk their site. We don't want to burn their domain or anything like that. And we're very, very careful with the work that we do for them.
I guess that jumps us into all of the AI questions I have, brother. Why have you been so aggressive with it? Like, why have you, there's been a lot of people out there that have sort of, myself included, we've just kind of added it in, it saved me about $3,000 in content a month. It's been added into the process, but you've gone balls to the wall, brother. Like, you've gone aggressive with it. How come?
So I think number one for me, previously, when I was just doing your average sort of case studies on YouTube or anywhere else, I couldn't break through the noise. It was almost impossible. So from a marketing perspective, we had to jump onto something trending to get any sort of attention. And if I look at the growth of the channel on YouTube, say last year, when we had like 1 or 2K subscribers and we wouldn't get any attention, people weren't that interested, we were just the same as everyone else, right? Whereas as soon as we started jumping on this trend of creating the AI content, doing loads of crazy stuff and crazy case studies, the subscribers on YouTube went from like 2K up to 55K. And I know that it's a starving crowd of people who are very, very interested in it. And the other thing I had was in January, I had a conversation with Ryan Stewart. I don't know if you're familiar with him, like big agency owner, doing pretty well in the industry. And he scared me like crazy because we had this conversation where it's basically like, AI is going to change the industry. People who don't adapt are going to get wiped out. Most of the agencies in the industry are going to get left behind. And I remember going to sleep that night, or trying to, and just lying wide awake and thinking, like, do I still have a job in 6 months or 12 months? What's going to happen to my business? And it was a really, really scary time. I'm glad that he scared me, though, because one of the other things we talked about in that conversation was, if he was an agency owner like me, what would he do? Well, he'd be trying to figure out and test different things with AI all day, every day, and really understand the technology so that you can become a leader in that industry and actually use it as an advantage, not as something that ends up getting a lot of agencies wiped out. And the thing that I've seen this year particularly is that some big name agencies have either taken a massive hit or they've actually gone bankrupt because they got left behind and they didn't adapt in time for all the changes that happened, particularly in the content industry.
Yeah, man. It was what was it? Niche website builders. They went under, didn't they? 150 employees and Gonskis out of there.
It's crazy. They were like one of the biggest brands in the industry, right?
Yep. Yeah. They were humming. They were definitely humming. I work with a good friend of mine, actually. He sits on the Florida State Bar, and he had some money for some foreign investors that he wanted to put in some assets. And he asked me about digital assets, and I pointed him in that direction. And it was about a month later, man, they went under. I was like, ooh.
So
yeah.
I had a sales call the week before, and this guy was like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy your content because we're actually going to buy it from niche website builders." It's like, fair enough. Obviously, very good at what they do, aren't they? They,
Yep.
they're blowing up, big brand, reputable. And then next week, I see that situation. I'm like, wow, things
Mm.
just so quickly. They seem so stable and so successful.
Yeah, you're spot on, man. Like you're spot on. If you can't be fast, like I was saying before, man, if you're not fast in business, you get left behind. Exactly the same as the military. You're not quick in adapting, the enemy will just run you over. And the enemy in this case is AI. It's a friend or a foe. So far out, man. That's like, it's been very insightful. I do like a lot of your videos when it comes to creating those unique chatbots. So you're creating those, basically those unique tools, man. Is it like you use them a lot? You use them a lot to help with the processes and creating content. Should people be making their own right now? Should they definitely be jumping on that train?
Well, I think it's really important to understand the technology, particularly if you're in this industry and you're really serious about it. Because if you figure it out, you know that most people are not going to bother. It's the same with link building, right? And therefore, you're going to have a competitive advantage. And if you can understand the tools better, even if you don't use them, that's going to give you an advantage in all the processes you use, the workflows, etc. And I think what has really helped me is not just creating the tools, but the process along the way in terms of programming them. Because if I can understand that, then I understand the technology better. I can understand the limits, but also the power of it too. And I think that's so insightful. Like, for example, I created a keyword clustering tool for free on custom GPTs. And normally, if you were paying for a keyword clustering tool, you might pay like between $500 and $1,000 a month or something like that. And then now, I'm not saying this is good, but now you can do it for free on a custom GPT. And you imagine, okay, if you do that for each part of your business, for example, for me, it might be YouTube titles, YouTube descriptions, thumbnails, etc. And all these are tools that I've already created. Then we're automating a lot of the processes that would normally require me to have a team, and I can do everything faster. If I can move faster than everyone else, then I'm already winning. I mean, for example, if you look at YouTube, and again, using these tools that I'm talking about, I can pump out videos every single day. I'm not stressed, I'm not tired, I'm not burned out because I've automated that process, which means that if you look at the amount of views that we're getting in the SEO space on YouTube, I'm not going to say we're dominating, but I would say we're getting more on the most channels. And that was not possible this time last year without ChatGPT.
You know, like you were saying in one of your videos, bro, dollars follow attention. So,
100%.
yeah, man, I guess with the AI, bro, being completely honest and upfront, what's been your ROI on it? Has it actually been really, really worth it? I know you've gotten a Rolex, but did you have to sell two to get that one?
Yeah. So, I mean, with the content websites, I mean, honestly, I'm more of an SEO than a CRO, like I'm very good at getting the traffic. I wouldn't say I'm great at monetizing it. It's something that I'm constantly learning.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, for example, my agency, we don't do any advertising. So all our clients either come from YouTube SEO, which is second biggest search engine in the world, or from Google SEO, which biggest search engine in the world. So this is multi-seven-figure company, and all the money that we make is from organic SEO. So it's enough to buy as many Rolexes as you ever need, I would say. And I think one thing that a lot of SEOs mistake is that it's not really about SEO. It's about the traffic, right? So if you've got an offer that is high ticket and converts really well, then all you're doing is you're dropping something into the machine. And that might be traffic from TikTok. It might be traffic from YouTube. It might be traffic from SEO. I don't think it really matters where the traffic comes from as long as it's high quality. And therefore, it's not really about SEO. It's about getting as much traffic and as attention as you need, right? So for example, for us, we might reach 1 million people on YouTube every month, which is great, brings in loads of leads. But we can also reach like 3 million people a month on Twitter. That's our numbers right now, which means we get tons of traffic, leads to sales from Twitter. Even though it's not SEO, we're just dumping that traffic into the machine that works really well.
So you do push a lot of different avenues to generate the traffic. So like you just said, Twitter, are you on TikTok, man? Are you on Instagram? What else are you sort of pursuing to drive in traffic?
I think you've asked that question just at the right time. So one thing that we're testing right now, I don't know if you've ever come across someone like Iman Gadzi.
Nah, bro. No, I don't know him.
Or you'll see this with Andrew Tate, and I'm not saying I agree with his content. I have no opinion on any of that stuff. But what I would say is, if you look at how he got so big, he basically had an army of virtual assistants who were creating YouTube videos in short form content, and they were just taking little clips from his main channel and then publishing them everywhere, right?
Mm.
And when you do that, and you have like, between 10 and 50 people doing it for you, it's impossible not to get attention. So this is something that I'm just setting up at the minute, is building an army of VAs to create massive amounts of short form content all day, every single day, to the point where we can get as much attention as we want without requiring more of my time, because I can only create so many YouTube videos at once, but that team can create as many as they possibly need. We have over 700 videos they can cut up and cut into short form videos.
Dude, that's very excellent. So you are going down the Andrew Tate model, eh? So you're going to have a ciggy, and do you know how to do kickboxing, bro? You any good at it? Or
I actually do, yeah. I do Muay Thai. Yeah.
Oh, bro, that's sick, man. You do Muay Thai?
Yeah, I do Muay Thai, yeah.
Oh, that's sick, dude. Okay, sick. Yes, very, very cool, man. You've been doing it a while? Like you solid in it?
I mean, I wouldn't say, I still would consider myself a beginner. I've been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, but probably like if you train Muay Thai and you don't do it every single day, then you can learn it, but you'll never be at the same level of intensity as someone who trains at a boot camp or something like that. So I love it. It's great for fun. It's great for IG videos, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't say I'm any more than a beginner, but it's for fun.
Oh, dude, that's pretty cool, man. So I side note, taking it a little bit side note and being a little bit selfish, but I'm probably heading over to the Philippines next year. And the biggest thing, man, was like that I was being drawn into going to Thailand instead was because of Muay Thai. I want to get back into doing fighting. I grew up with like karate, kung fu, all of that. And then when I joined the military, it stopped. And even in the army, bro, like you're not allowed to fight a lot. You'd think that you're always fighting. We would fight more when it came to, we had Friday night fights. So what would happen every Friday, you'd all get together and it'd just be all of the lads. And if you had a problem with anyone, so there'd be like one main event, like always guys that, been doing Muay Thai for years as an example. But like what it would normally be is like, let's say you and I had a problem. You're like, Aussie, I've got a problem with you. Like you were trying to flirt with my missus as an example. Not that I would, but just as an example, then you could call it out and you would just go in and everyone would just go nuts, man. Like it was brutality, but yeah, it was sick. I think what boys need to do. Yeah.
It's almost like Fight Club. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it literally was, bro. Like it was, because if you like bailed out, if you did not be a part of it, if I called someone out and they ran off, then everyone would get them. Like there was no, like you were not safe, so to speak. So you got called out, you've got to go in there. But that was an army, man. Like you needed to know that the guy to your right and the guy to your left, you could rely on them. And that's just how it was. So yeah, I'm very interested in fighting and all of that sort of stuff, dude. It's always been something that's, pretty close to my heart, because I think we all need to be very, very good at it. But I guess like getting back on SEO track, bro, before we head down the UFC route. Man, like AI, bro, is it working in all niches? Like if you were to sit here and say, Ronnie, I can get a roofing blog to go absolutely bananas with the AI. Can you actually do it? Or is it really only like specific niches where we can get AI to pop?
So I would say that the best niches to go for are the ones that don't rely on facts. So you might have tested ChatGPT and seen this, where 50% of the stuff that it comes up with is total BS. And it's very, very confident and assured that the content is factually correct. And that's one of the biggest issues. So anything related to YMYL, your money or your life related content, stay well away from it, because you could end up in serious trouble. You don't want to break any laws or anything like that. You don't want to get yourself in trouble or your client's website in trouble. But for something like roofing, yeah, I'm pretty sure you could do pretty well in that. I mean, for example, if you look at James Dooley, I don't know if you've come across him. He's got over 600 websites in rank and rent. And I think some of those are in like the roofing or building industry. he'll create AI content and maybe have a team of human editors that rewrite the content, and that works really well. I think it works for anything where you're targeting low competition keywords, and also where the bar in terms of human written content is very low. So, for example, when I was looking at the birds industry earlier this year, one thing I noticed was that these other websites with human written content were pretty trash. Like, content was not formatted well, not optimized well, not very interesting to read, etc. And if you honestly compare an AI tool, one of the leading ones, versus your average human writer on Upwork, I'm going to take the AI content every day of the week, because it's better formatted, better written, more optimized, more interesting, more comprehensive. And I don't have to go back and forth with a writer all day trying to deal with the stress of managing them. So honestly, AI content is very, very powerful. It does rank. I've seen it rank in many different industries. In fact, we're building out 100 sites in 90 days, and a lot of them are already getting traction. So it's crazy how well it works. Will it work forever? I don't know. Google come along and say, we don't like this anymore.
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous, brother, is knock, knock. Hey guys, we're shutting this down. Oh man. Dude, like how are you ensuring that your content is always, one, humanized, and two, optimized as well? Like what's your tricks when it comes to ensuring that your content is actually unique, better, and optimized?
It's a good question. So there are all these tools where you can actually reverse engineer the SERPs, and then you write your content based on that. So that ensures it's optimized, because as you already know, like, the best way to create content is to reverse engineer your competition on the first page of Google. That's what Google likes. So for us, for example, if you're using tools like Autoblogging AI, Agility Writer, Surfer, Page Optimizer Pro, they all reverse engineer the first page of Google to make sure that your content is optimized based on NLP and LSI keywords and all the right headings, etc. You can even do that with ChatGPT, one of the custom GPTs that I created. I think it's top 90 on Assistant Hunt today, so it's getting a lot of traction. That tool, first of all, does Bing browsing, so it browses Bing on the first page for the keyword that you want, and then it will create an optimized outline, which you can then create content around. So that's how you handle the optimization section. When it comes to actually editing the content, I'll be honest, sometimes we don't edit it at all, particularly on our case study sites, because it would just be impossible for me to do that with thousands of sites. But if it's a site you really care about and you're willing to take the risk of using AI content, then I would recommend one of the SEO checklists that I create. They're out there for free on YouTube. And that basically takes you from literally finding the keyword all the way down to indexing the content and all the checks you should run in between to make sure that your content is not just optimized, but also edited properly.
Is there any tricks that you have, bro, when it comes to, like, is it a specific prompt or anything like that that gives you the upper hand when it does come to mass producing this content? Because like you said, like what Charles Float just released, what Cuppa, he's partnered up with that. I'm giving that a crack, man. To be honest, dude, like I just did this massive test where I did a heap of pages, internal links pointing into the home page, and in a competitive game went from position 31 all the way up to position 6. And all like, dude, none of the pages indexed. Like they got 64 indexed, then all of them dropped straight out. It was 202 pages. Yeah. So it was trash. There's no images on any of them. Like it was trash, brother. And in a competitive game. And that's all I did. So yeah, built a lot of internal links. It's obviously skimming over it, not going crazy into detail, but is there anything that you're doing differently to ensure that your pages are indexing, ensuring that you're getting those solid results?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for me, when I'm doing these case studies on YouTube, there's a lot of pressure on me to make sure that content ranks really quickly, because if it does, I've literally got nothing to show on YouTube. I'm not going to show a video on like how I ranked a website 99 on Google in 24 hours.
You could, bro.
I mean, that'll be maybe on April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day, I might do it. Yeah. And then, so for me, indexing is one of the most important parts of the process. So here's what I do. Like you say, internal links point into the new page, index those via Google Search Console to make sure that the new internal links added on the old content are indexed really quickly. Then additionally, if it's a Parasite SEO case study, I'll link from one of my own websites to that Parasite SEO page that might be published on LinkedIn Post or Medium or Outlook India or whatever, to make sure that there's some power running to the page, and then I'll re-index that as well in the Search Console. Then there's some other tools that I use as well, and you probably know them too, but like, for example, Index Me Now.
Brilliant.
Really good tool. And obviously you don't pay if it doesn't get indexed, so that's very useful.
Yep.
Then Omega Indexer, I'm a big fan of as well. Don't know if you've tried that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not, brother. I never had a lot of success with it up front, so I was like, and I jumped across the Index Me Now. Yeah.
So I use both.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be safe. So Google Search Console, internal links, Index Me Now, Omega Indexer, that's 4. And then if it's a relevant case study, I'll post that link on my Twitter too, because what I noticed with Twitter is that gets crawled like crazy fast. For example, if you look at the last 24 hours and you type something like Julian Goldie on Google, you'll usually find that my tweets are the first piece of content that comes up for my name in the last 24 hours. Like, gets indexed so fast, and social media just gets crawled so quickly that you can index your content really quickly, and that gets it indexed faster.
That's very interesting, bro. So you like leveraging Twitter as well to try and drive some bots over to the actual page that you've just thrown up?
Yeah, so, and this is the same with YouTube actually. So with YouTube videos, when our videos blow up, like for example, there was a video this week that got like 65K views within about 48 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Typically, what I'll do within the first few minutes of publishing that YouTube video, if it's targeting a keyword on Google, is that I'll publish it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and sometimes I'll embed it on my website too. And these little social signals just build more trust to the page, and that means it gets indexed faster.
Beautiful, dude. So you really have you by any chance, do you use SEO Press by any chance?
No, I've not come across that. Would you recommend it?
Good. Like, they've got I'm actually finding pretty good success, man. They've built in a instant indexing feature now in their plugin. So it's like $99 or something, man, for the pro feature for a year. And you can just set up an actual indexer back in the Google developer like page, set all of that up, link it all up, and then you can just throw as many URLs of that website in there. That's been solid, man, to be honest. Yeah, if you've got a big site, that has actually been very, very solid. So
cheers, I'll check that out. Thanks.
Yeah. It's $99, bro. You can't go wrong. Unlimited sites. Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't argue with that price, can you?
No, man. Dude, that I really, really like that. Like, with like what you were talking about specifically when it comes to trying to get it indexed, because I think that's the biggest thing that I've struggled with. Was I've tried a lot of different things with AI content. I find when you do the human editing, like, yeah, that's definitely going to help you. But like you said before, you want to make it streamlined. So how can I create as many pages as possible, but still getting the same results as if I were to intervene with one page? And getting indexed, bro, like, man, it's been a struggle, to be honest. Like, if it's not intervened with, it's terrible. Yeah.
So this is one of the reasons that I like Omega Indexer is, for example, if I create a new case study website and it's got 1,000 posts from day one, never been crawled before, then I can just copy and paste those straight into Omega Indexer, and it's bulk indexing everything. And usually that gets indexed pretty quickly within a week or so. Whereas with Index Me Now, it's going to get pretty expensive to do that, right? It's going to be like $1 a page, and that's going to increase the prices. And then all of a sudden you can't afford a Rolex.
you still get a guest watch or something, bro. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you make the sacrifice, you pay the price.
Exactly, man. Jeez. Dude, like, on the matter of AI, what tools do you recommend, like, are the best, the ones that are hitting right now? Where would you be like, well, if you don't want to play around with AI, you don't want to set up your own prompt, so to speak, it's like, if you wanted just an easy package because you're a one-man show, where are you going?
So if you want to create hundreds or thousands of posts, I would recommend Autoblogging AI. That's the tool that I've got the best results with when it comes to bulk content generation. If you want just one-click articles that are nicely, neatly formatted, etc., bullet points, YouTube videos, pictures, SERP related content, NLP keywords, etc., then I would highly recommend Agility Writer. Honestly, like we've got such good results with it, always seems to do pretty well. And I'm grateful to that tool because it saves me so much time. There's so many tools where I have to click a load of buttons, wait for the content to generate. I'm messing around for ages. And for me, if I'm trying to do this in the most time efficient, most productive way possible, Agility Writer is pretty damn good for that. Then if you're really on a budget, then you can just use a free tool. You can use ChatGPT, or you can use custom GPTs like the one that I've put out for free for everyone, because it still does the job. It still ranks. I've still tested it. It's just that you might go back and forth with ChatGPT a little bit. I mean, like, you know, as running a business, it's like you either pay with your time or you pay with the price, and that's up to you as a business owner.
Yeah, some people have shown some funny things out there in the world that say, I've done all this with AI content. And you're like, oh, okay, no worries. I've got SEMrush. Let's go check it out. And the referring domains are just burp. And you're like, oh, okay, mate. Dude, you really, really stress. Like, you one of the guys that finally stresses like backlinks as well with AI content. But in saying that, are we building quality backlinks, or are we just building backlinks?
Good question. So for me, we have a 50-point SOP checklist that we put into place early this year, where basically every backlink that we build is, number one, approved by 3 people before it's built. Number 2, it's on real, it's on websites that are getting traffic, that are relevant. The context of the article is relevant to the website we're building the backlinks to. Number 3, it's actually manually inserted by a website owner. So it's not like we're going on to fiverr.com and getting 5,000 backlinks for $5. And it's not like we're spamming loads of forums or comment links, etc. These are manually created backlinks by the website from a real person. So I think that helps a lot. And for me, honestly, it's a little bit unfair because I have a link building agency, right? So I can tap into that resource that I have. I just throw backlinks into the machine. I throw new websites into the backlink machine, and then I'm good.
So how would the average Joe then, bro, compete against you? Like, straight up, how would they, if they don't have a link building agency? We've got the option number 1, which is buy your links. But what's option number 2?
In terms of building backlinks?
Yeah, in competing with you. So as an example, Joe Blogs out there, he wants to compete against you. He can do the same with the AI. He's got all of your courses. He's got your free course. He's got all of those custom chat GPTs. How can he close that gap if he doesn't have a link building agency? So obviously, is there any other methods that he can use, or is it just backlinks? Like, there's no if, buts, or ways around it.
Just shut down your website. If you're trying to compete with me, shut down your website.
Yes,
send me
brother.
the domain and the name, cheap login details. It's done. No, I'm just joking. So what I'd recommend is focusing on 3 things, right? So for me, I don't have a lot of time to spend on these websites. So it's actually a competitive advantage for someone who's focused on that website all day, every day, because they're probably going to beat us 9 times out of 10, just because they're putting all their effort, energy, and time in one resource, whereas we're spread across a link building agency, SEO mastermind, 100 different sites, everything else. So what I would say is it comes down to 3 simple things, which is, number 1, backlinks, like we talked about, and being more targeted with those. For example, I don't have a lot of time to spend on that link building strategy, and it doesn't make sense for me to spend a lot of time on that link building strategy. For us, it's not the most profitable thing to focus on. Number 2 is branding, right? So for example, if you look at my website, my personal website, juliangolide.com, performs pretty well on the SERPs in a very competitive industry, SEO industry. So one of the reasons that I think it does so well is simply because it's a brand. It's not like a niche website that's been set up with auto-blogging AI and doesn't get traffic from anywhere else, doesn't have a real person on the website, etc. So if you can create all these different branding signals on page and off page, for example, social media, podcasts, interviews like we're doing right now, but in your industry for that website, then you're going to have a much bigger brand than someone like me who's just set up chipperbirds.com for a laugh on YouTube. And then the final thing that I would say is semantics, right? So if you can optimize the semantics on the page in a way that's easier for Google to crawl and looks more relevant to Google when it scans through all the HTML on the page, then I think that's going to give you a big competitive advantage as well. Now, for example, if you look at someone like Corey Tugberg, who goes really, really deep into semantics and the way that you parse the sentences, for example.
Too deep, brother. Too deep.
It's too deep. It's too deep for my little brain, I'll be honest with you. But if you have the time and the energy to go that deep on the content that you're creating, you're going to beat me 9 times out of 10 for sure. Because I don't have the time to do that. My team don't even have the time to do it. And it wouldn't be profitable for us to do that anyway. But if you're a one-man band and you're like, right, I really want to make this work, I want to make 10, 20, 30K on my website a month, you can do it.
Dude, are you applying Schema and everything like that to the pages that you produce? So are you going that extra mile, creating Schema, then putting on a ton of internal relevant links on there? Are you actually doing all that, man? Or are you honestly just being like, hey, chat GPT, give us what you've got?
The schema thing I don't bother with so much. We used to a little bit. There's tools like Autoblogging AI that actually give you the FAQ schema inside the content, which is pretty good. And then it depends which website we're doing it for. So for example, for juliangolide.com, we publish a lot of chat GPT content on there, but it's run through that checklist I talked about earlier, the SEO checklist. And by doing that, you've got all the internal and external links. You've got all the formatting properly. You've got the headings and the H2s and H3s organized in the most relevant and contextual way. So there's a lot more editing that goes into that website than say something like one of the new 54 websites we set up last week.
Yep. Very nice, man. Dude, on the backlinking side of it, you said you've got a 50-point checklist to ensure that a backlink's good. You get it vetted by 3 individuals. What are you looking for, man? What are you looking for? What bad neighborhood sort of stuff are you looking for? What are you really checking out to make sure that something's solid before you send it over?
It's a great question. I can try and pull up the SOP if I've got it bookmarked. Sure. So I've got the link building prospecting criteria in front of me. So in terms of like the first 10 criteria that we check, it's got to be, the content itself has to be non-sexual, non-violence related, non-drug related, no casino or gambling stuff. We actually avoid Indian heavy traffic, not because I don't mind where the traffic comes from, but a lot of our clients used to complain, going back a few years ago when we're tweaking and optimizing, that the websites would have the majority of their traffic coming from India, which is quite low value to them, the client. So we just avoid websites like that. Also, websites have to be DR30 and above. So we focus on domain rating from Ahrefs, traffic above 500 a month, because usually it's just an estimate, like it's actually going to be way higher. And then we have a blacklist of websites that we've been prospecting with for the last 5 or 7 years, so that if we find a relevant prospect, but it's on the blacklist, we're not going to use it because obviously something's been flagged before that's not good about it. Then there's other stuff as well, like for example, checking if the site is sharing Google Analytics IDs, or checking if the site is sharing IP addresses, because we don't want to be using any PBNs when it comes to link building. And then there's other stuff as well. And I don't know how granular you want to go, but
Dude, go granular, man. I got the time, bro. And if it's good educational content, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem.
Perfect. So for example, when it comes to link relevance guidelines, the article headline should mention the topic of the client's article, and the anchor text should be relevant to the client's article as well. And then the content of the article should be relevant to the client's article as well. All right. And then the other thing as well, a lot of our clients, they actually come to us and they have requirements, right? So they're like, we want to rank for these keywords. These are the pages we want to build links to. We want to get this DR, and this site needs to have X amount of traffic, right? And then you know what clients are like. They're very, very particular and specific on what those requirements are. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all, but it's like, okay, if that's what the client wants, if that one, yeah, exactly. So we'll go with that. And that's a big part of our link building criteria too. And then also things like, spammy content. So if there's ads everywhere, all over the page, it's not a website that people actually read, and you can't read it even if you wanted to because there's so many ads, then we're going to avoid that too. Yeah, it's just all sorts of things like that. Checking the content quality and formatting as well. So we have a whole different SOP inside this 50-point checklist on link relevance as well. So we have like link relevance guidelines too. Yeah, all sorts of things. I mean, it's something we've tweaked and tested for the last 7 years. And what we realized as an agency is if we want to grow, we have to keep our clients. If we want to keep our clients, then we have to be very, very particular on the link quality. And additionally, as a USP, as an agency, I know that there's hundreds of thousands of link builders out there. Anyone can get a database and start selling backlinks today. So what differentiates you? Well, it's quality. So how do you figure out the quality? Well, you need good systems for that. And that's why we have this SOP checklist.
And how do you find going forward, man? Because I can still remember a time when I could buy a backlink for, you know, $15 and it was actually not bad.
Yeah.
I remember those days. So those wonderful, wonderful days that I wish we could return to. How do you suggest people going forward find solid backlinks at a reasonable price? Because I do, to be completely honest, I have a bit of a gripe when I see people charging $500 for a DR30 as an example, and you get that link and it's like, this is a $30 link. Realistically, like this, and it is out there. It is out there. So how do you really ensure that people can get a good quality backlink for a reasonable price, and how do they find it?
Yeah, so when it comes to reasonable pricing, there's a really good book called Never Split the Difference on negotiating.
Yep.
And one thing that I would say with websites is that most websites are just sticking their finger in the air and they actually have no idea of the genuine value of that site. And so that means the price is very, very negotiable. They might give you a price, but actually you can get it down by like 50% straight off the bat. So I use something called the Ackerman negotiating tactic. And so when my team is negotiating with other websites for the price, they'll start with 50%, then 65, then 80, and they'll just move up from there. And it'll require a bit of back and forth. We might have to grease the wheels a little bit in terms of offering some extras too. So for example, in the past, we've got free backlinks through creating an audio version of their article and then giving them the MP3 file that they can embed on the website, stuff like that. If you can find ways to incentivize the process, you can actually sometimes get backlinks for free. You don't necessarily need to pay. And it's really about just calling BS and not going with the first price. Be willing to be patient as well. So a lot of people, they want to get backlinks straight away. And that means you're in an emotional state. If you can't wait, you're going to get ripped off. So be really careful about being patient, being ready to be back and forth. And something that I noticed as well is like sometimes we'll give a price, the website won't go with it. We'll leave it a week and then they'll be like, you know, actually, let's go with that price you suggested earlier. So sometimes you just have to be very patient. Yeah. And then once you've got a website that's willing to sell backlinks to you, if you're willing to give them a lot of business, maybe you have a portfolio of sites, so you're an agency and you're doing this for a lot of clients, and those backlinks are relevant to multiple websites and multiple clients, then you can actually negotiate some bulk discounts.
Yep.
Yeah. And another really good tip, we don't actually sell this, but I know this works beautifully, is if you're doing guest posting, you can actually say to competing sites in your industry, I'll get you backlinks. You just give us $50 and I'll get you backlinks in this guest post I'm about to post. And then you go to like 2 or 3 different competitors, you make $150. You might pay $100 for a placement on that site with the guest post. And actually at that point, every time you get a backlink to your site, it's profitable because you're making $50. You're not buying it for $150.
Dude, that's very, very insightful. Do you find the success rate? Because I know when we first chatted, it was like two years ago, like I was saying, maybe 2 years ago, a while ago. Skyscraper technique was what you guys used for me. Now, is that principle still the same? Are you still using that structure, and what success are you finding with that structure? You're creating the better article and then reaching out to people that linked to the identical or, you know, subpar article that you use to create the skyscraper article for. How are you going about it, man? And what's the success rate?
Yeah, so we still use the skyscraper technique, but we supplement it with other techniques too, because we do this for hundreds of sites and we've been doing it for 7 years. So we also have some pre-approved suppliers that we know would have relevant placements we can buy. Mm-hmm. And we're very transparent with the client when they come on board. Like it's in the sales presentation. We buy links sometimes from pre-approved suppliers, but it's based on our SOP, our 50-point checklist. So between the skyscraper technique and using pre-approved suppliers, we can always hit the client's deadline on time every time. When it comes to the skyscraper technique, Varies depending on the industry. So for example, if you're doing outreach and you have a CBD website, your conversion rate of Skyscraper is going to be next to nothing. It might be like 2% or something ridiculous like that. And then you just have to scale. So you have to play the numbers game. And to get 10 backlinks, you might have to reach out to like 1,000 websites. It's just the name of the game. And then you just find a really good system for doing outreach at scale so that you can hit those numbers to get the number of backlinks you require. So yeah, it really depends. I would say between 2% as the very lowest. And again, that's in these dodgy industries like CBD or gambling and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Top tier, probably about 10%. And then if you're using the Skyscraper technique, but you're in an industry where everyone knows you, right? So for example, when we did the Skyscraper technique for Hunter.io, massive email list, massive email finding tool, everyone knows that tool. Everyone loves it. So it's so easy to get high quality backlinks with the Skyscraper technique. I remember we reached out to one guy. He was like, I love Hunter. I love it so much that I've not just given you a backlink from my website, but I've also given you a backlink from Fiverr.com. It's a do follow and it's like a DI80 website. And it's like, wow, that is the power of branding. So if you have a big brand, everything else when it comes to outreach and even landing podcasts like this can be easier, right? If you know me, you trust me, and therefore you're going to have me on your show. You know, I'm not going to shill loads of stuff, or I don't.
You could.
I could, yeah. I could secretly be working for Rolex and then
exactly.
It's a pyramid scheme. Yeah.
I think the hardest thing about backlinks right now is that there's so many people. I guarantee you, if I was to log in to my email, there's going to be about 5 emails saying, hey, love your blog. It'd be fantastic if we could get an insert off you. And it's just mass spam. So how do people actually stand out in the inbox and actually get those links? Like you really talked about, you need to negotiate and follow up. But what else can be done that's different? Because like I said, I guarantee you in this hour's time, if I was to log on, there's going to be 5 people saying, hey, Ron, can you send me a backlink? I'm willing to pay you $100, $200, whatever it would be. How do I make sure that, you know, if I was to send Julian an email, what's going to get you to be like, okay, I'll work with Ron?
Yeah, there's some good techniques. It depends how scalable you want it to be. So if you're willing to get a lot more personalized, then one of the things that works really well for us personally, and we don't offer this as a service because it's very hard to scale, but you can just reach out to people on Facebook and DM them. So for example, if you look at lemlist.com, like 8-figure company, the CEO of that business, he's not going to check his emails or look at link building outreach emails in a million years. But if I am active in his Lemlist community and then I DM him, he's going to reply, especially if it's like, I've got an amazing case study about Lemlist and I want to publish it on your site to show people how good your tool is. And I've got all the facts and data to back up. That's when you can get a backlink very easily with personalized outreach. So the more personalized you can get it, and the more you can make an attempt to reach the decision maker, then the easier it's going to be. So this is what we did with Lemlist. We published a case study on them, and I just DM'd him on Facebook, and then he got me a backlink. So Links a Lot, they featured us on the podcast recently, linked back to our site. And even though they're a competitor, they still had us on the show through a Facebook DM. With you, even with this podcast, probably won't get a backlink out of it, but you had me on because I messaged you on LinkedIn, right? I just reached out to you. It was very personalized. It was like, hey, we're both in the same industry. I saw whoever it was on your podcast previously. Would you have me on? And then within a week, I'm here, right? So the more personalized you can be, the bigger your brand is, the easier it's going to be to attract those backlinks to your site. And if you can do it on social media instead of sending an outreach email that has no face to it and no real personalization, then you're going to get much better results. And for that, honestly, you might be looking at a 70, 80% conversion rate, not a 1 or 2% conversion rate.
Which is worthwhile when you really think about it. Like if you can plonk a VA down, say, mate, this is what I want you to do, and this is the focus. This is the team that's working to create this case study, and this is who we're targeting. You know, this is the intent of that case study. Like you said, is like what you did with Hunter to try and get on there. You utilized them, talked about scraping all the emails. It's like, well, I was able to build this many backlinks because I utilized Hunter. So, you know, when it serves the purpose like that, man, whew, that's dangerous. That is very,
It's a
very dangerous.
no-brainer, isn't it? It's a
Yep.
no-brainer for them. Like every company wants more testimonials. Every company wants more case studies. And
Yep.
if you can just do all the heavy lifting for them and you're like, I'm going to write it. I've got all the stats. I've done all the research. All you need to do is hit publish with the content I send you. Then you're good to go, aren't you?
Yeah. Are you writing the content yourself, brother, or are you removed away from that now? Like when it is getting involved with people like Hunter, Lemlist, are you still involved yourself? Do you like getting your hands dirty, or are you a bit removed?
So when it comes to these case studies, I still kind of write them myself, honestly. Like, for example, we recently got published on SERPstat with a new case study. And what I did ask them was, would you mind if I created the content with ChatGPT and AI and just took a transcript that I already have about their tool, format it neatly with ChatGPT and add the finishing touches, and then their team can edit and publish it. And they were fine with that. So that only took me about 30 minutes. But if it gets me more PR, if it gets me more clients, and if it gets me some high quality backlinks to my website, plus I can talk about it in situations like this, then it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic. So where are you looking to improve personally and business-wise, bro, with your agency going forward in 2024? Where are you looking to get better?
These are great questions. So one thing that I do every year is I try and review the person that I need to become next year and what character traits that person would have that would be a better version of myself, right? And this is something that I did last year. Did it last year in a workshop with a BJJ like black belt who used to be like Secret Service in Israel too. And
Hamas. Okay. What is it? Mossad.
I
Mossad. Yeah.
don't, yeah, it might be a Mossad. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure on the details of that, but it's a guy called Itamar Marani. And basically, we did the 6-week workshop where it's really, really deep, really, really introspective, but very, very powerful when it comes to self-improvement. And it's all in a group of like 5 or 6 of you who are deep into running the business. And, you know, with running the business, you have to improve as a person, right? Because it's like a mirror of you. So back then it was like, right, well, number one, can't shy away from the spotlight anymore. So I've got to remove all the limiting beliefs around that. And then number two, become a lot more assertive. Because previously I was trying to be the nice guy when it comes to managing a team. And like you said, business makes you more ruthless. And when you're managing a team and the team gets bigger, they have to know that you're in a safe environment, that you're going to help them grow, that you believe in them, but also you're not going to tolerate any BS, right? And that was something else that I learned along the way. And I would say the growth that I've had between then and now is because of that exercise. So I'm just in the process of doing that right now for myself for next year. I honestly think that there's a lot of strengths I just need to sort of lean into, right? So for example, if I look over the next 10 years and I'm like, right, I create a YouTube video every single day and it still gets the same amount of views or more, then what's going to happen within 10 years? Well, probably the agency is going to grow. We're going to make more millions, probably grow to an 8-figure company, not a multi-7-figure. And you're probably going to become one of the biggest names in the industry and therefore speak in the biggest stages, which again leads to more growth in the agency, etc. So it's like, right, what person do I need to become that if I did that every single day, it will be inevitable that I'm going to achieve all the dreams and all the goals and aspirations that I want. And again, I think that comes down to becoming relentless, tireless, working extremely hard, becoming a better manager of people, and better at building systems as well. Yeah. One of the other things that I think as well that I've probably lacked this year is the ability to make decisions where I can figure out what's the highest leverage move, what's going to get me the biggest results with the lowest input. This year, it's been a year of extreme sacrifice and hard work. Next year, it needs to be more about figuring out, okay, if I do this and it only requires 10% of the work, how can I make sure that has a 10x output? So inputs and outputs, and what's going to be very high leverage in terms of small input but big output.
Better to be a warrior in the garden, man, than a gardener in the war. That's the biggest thing that always drives me, dude. So I think it's very good that you're looking at yourself through that lens and constantly trying to be better. That's fantastic. But that's why you are where you are, because that's your mindset. It's like, I was average last year. I'll be average again next year. It's really good that you've adopted something solid and you're being better. So that's awesome to hear, man. I'm excited to see. Be checking in this time next year, bro. And I expect that you'll be up on all the stages. You'll be like, Ronnie, I was at this event. I was at Digital Unfiltered. I was at Chiang Mai. Everything was amazing. I'll be like, fantastic, bro. Fantastic.
Thanks,
and the final thing, man, tips, tricks, any sort of secrets you want to give out to all those SEOs, the legends that are watching this? Anything, any hidden gems that you want to cough up?
I think I'm very transparent in everything that I do. I literally document everything and don't hold anything back on my YouTube channel. I would say that if you're not building your own tools via custom GPTs, that's a massive opportunity for growth for any agency or SEO owner. And then additionally, I would be constantly looking at how can you improve your internal systems in the business, every single task that you do, and looking at how can you outsource that with AI. So for example, for me, if we were doing YouTube videos, YouTube thumbnails before, can we automate that with a custom GPT? Absolutely. Is that going to save us 5 or 10 hours a week? Absolutely. And therefore we can grow faster and move quicker. So just constantly optimize for speed using AI and the workflows that come with it.
Marvelous, dude. Well, Julian's been absolutely fantastic, brother. Where can people find you? Where can they get this free course that you talked about? Where can they get access to all of this information?
Sure. So I'll send you a link that you can add in the description for the free course. And that comes with over 100 tutorials and SOPs and templates on exactly how to do AI SEO and get better rankings with it based on what's worked for me. If you want to book in a call with our agency, you can do that at juliangolide.com. And even if you don't buy from us, you'll get value out of the call because we'll answer any questions you have, give you a link building strategy, and basically look at your competitors and reverse engineer how you can rank too.
Awesome, brother. You heard it here first, legends. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I'm sure we'll have Julian on this time next year and we'll hold him accountable for everything he said today. Thanks, Julian.
Thank you. Cheers.
Legend.